Welcome to this week's episode of Art Wisdom with Chris and Kat. And this week we're answering your questions. So we did get a bunch of questions and we've sort of broken them down. So we're going to kick off with, what are we kicking off with, Kat? You've got the questions.
We've got quite a lot of questions and they're all over the place. So today we're just going to focus on three different people. And firstly, Nikki asked, have you ever been worried about not getting sales when you start your art business? So that's the first one. The second question we'll be answering is, how much time did it take to make your art business profitable? Which is a great question. And then the third one from Ollie is, I was wondering if you could give me advice on selling my artwork, having a really hard time with it. I always end up having to drop my prices very low, which doesn't help me. And she put, anyways, trying to figure it out. I post on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I've sold plenty of paintings, but never for what I feel they are worth. Which is such a good question.
Big questions there. Three big questions. So that's why we sort of put them into just this episode.
So let's start with Nikki. Have you ever been worried about not getting sales when you started your business?
It's terrifying, I think, putting yourself out there first off. I think it's just terrifying putting yourself out there. Never mind going, is anyone going to buy?
Oh, gosh, every single time. I have sold a lot of artwork, an insane amount of artwork, and every single time I always feel like, what happens if nobody likes it?
Yeah. And you know what? This was something from our interview with Maggie that I got. You know, like, she's a really prolific artist and puts stuff out there with all the things. And it's like, still have those doubts, still have those fears, still have, you know, like, don't, you know, it's so much effort, don't want to do it. And it was really lovely, even for us to hear that everyone feels the same.
Oh, absolutely. No one is alone in this, and it's just so common. Of course, like, I'm always worried about not getting sales. Not just when I started. I mean, I'll be honest, I literally didn't think I'd get any sales. I was so surprised when people started buying my work. Even today, I find it mind-blowing. I'm like, wow, people have bought some artwork. That's wild. And you know, see, and especially, I think it's especially more challenging, like, when you're starting out and you're defining your style. And you're like trying to work, do people actually even like this style? You know, I think that can be something that's always tense. How do you get over that feeling, Chris?
Well, the feeling of the style thing, like the style thing, you go on your own path, do your own journey and explore and find out what you like to do. We talked about this in the past. You can't go, what's selling at the moment? Oh, she's doing really well, I will copy her. Like, you do fantastic space art. There's many space artists out there who can't sell a thing. It's not about the art. It's about what you do and your confidence, how you're putting yourself out there.
It's the art of business.
The art of business. It's a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
It is its own art form. I think so anyway. But yeah, so and for me, the truth is that it's one of those scenarios where you have to feel the fear and do it anyway, because you never really truly know until you put yourself out there. And even when you put yourself out there, you're not reaching the whole world. I mean, as much as we would love to all the time, obviously the whole world could find us, but there's a lot of people online and there's a lot of art online. And sometimes you might not just have yet found your people, and that's right. Okay. You just have to be so persistent with it. But firstly, I would say, you know, when you start building relationships through social media, the fact that social media is called social media is meant to be like this two-way conversations, that makes things a lot easier, you know. But also, I think when you're starting out, you're selling to friends, family, and of course, anyone else that's foolish enough to be within 5 feet of you. So, you know, sometimes that's a good place to start if you're feeling worried about selling those first few pieces.
Yeah. And also, it's not, you know, you're putting yourself out to sell them, and that's great. But you're putting it's also like a big step to actually put them out there, expose yourself to the world, so to speak, and then you'll just get used to it. You'll just, you'll just start feeling more comfortable with it. Doesn't matter if, I'm saying it doesn't matter if they don't sell. If it's your living and everything's on the line for this, then it really does matter. But I'd never really suggest anyone to just throw everything else to the wind and just kick off in any new business, whether it's art or anything, side hustle. And so it takes the pressure off you. But, is it really, you worried about putting them out there because you think that they may not sell, and then you'll be embarrassed because you put them out there and they're not selling, and how awkward's that and it's really not. You're just putting them out there to
100%.
see. Yes,
one of my friends had a similar scenario, if I remember correctly, and I recounted how I started selling my artwork. Was because I wanted to fund an exhibition, really to just get my friends drunk, to be fair. And that was actually a great target. Not that that's,
it's not so serious.
Not specifically the alcoholism, but the idea that it's not necessarily about making an X dollar amount, which is terrifying, even if it's a small amount. But saying, hey, I'm going to be using these funds for X. The worst case scenario, and that thing was that my friends would be entirely sober, and there's probably worse things they've been, to be fair. So for me, that took the pressure off.
Yes,
it made it so easy to put my artwork out there, because the artwork, it wasn't about like, oh, I have to make this amount of money. It was really just like, oh, I want to do this thing. And the worst case scenario, it's not that big and scary.
And the thing is, like, when you have the different mentality about it, of like, I'm putting my artwork out there, I'm going, like, putting your artwork on there in social, that's quite easy. You're just putting your pictures up there. Having an exhibition, that's courageous to go, I've never done this before, I'm having an exhibition. But when you've got the mentality of going, I'm inviting all my friends, we're having a party, we're celebrating my new passion, it gives you a different mindset, doesn't it, to sort of, I'll invite loads of people and we'll have fun. The art is fantastic if you sell, and it's very exciting when you sell, but it's more about something else. Yeah,
and I think some people can sometimes have a problem, or are fearful for asking for money.
Yes.
I think I was at the beginning too. You don't like to ask. Not to talk about money, and it's a bit rude to ask. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like something that was kind of trained in us. I think our parents trained in us because they're fed up with us asking for money. But later in life, that's not helpful at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think having an ulterior motive, even if it's so small, and I think that often, if it's to benefit anyone else, even if it's just like, all I want to do is buy some art tools to help this person, or whatever it is, it can be small. It could be just, I want to throw a party, I want to buy, I just put some alcohol and space in a room and just let's go for it.
Well, just cheer somebody's feet up. Just cheer someone's feet up,
Right, exactly. So I think that's a great series of answers. All right, let's move on to
keep doing it. Keep doing it. Stop worrying about it. Everybody feels the same.
Yeah.
And just do it because you want to share your artwork with people who want to follow you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I couldn't have put any other things together. That's exactly it. Love that. And I would just like to add, feel the fear and do it anyway, because you just got to, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Dev asks, how much time did it take to make it profitable? Which is a great question, and it's different for everyone.
It's sort of like saying, how long's a piece of string, isn't it? Do you think? Because it just depends how much work you're putting in, how much you feel is profitable. Profitable's $1. How much do you need? So
So for me, I think it took me for me to create my first campaign on Kickstarter, it was 8 months, but I was working a side job. I was working at the time as a cleaner, scrubbing toilets. So And I'll be honest, it is so much better cleaning someone else's house than your own. I swear. Cleaning my own house is like lame. Cleaning someone else's house is a lot of fun. So I was doing that, and it took 8 months of working every Saturday. So I dedicated 4 hours every Saturday for 8 months, and I put on that first campaign. And that first campaign was able to raise enough funds for me for like kind of like half a year's profit. So it was almost profitable from the start. Kind of, yes. It took me 8 months to raise 6 months worth of wages. But the truth is that that's not always the case. You know, my first one was kind of a runaway success in many ways.
Yeah.
So, and also it depends. Some people are only doing, even though they've got art business and they want to build it up, you know, they might only have, like, as I said, like 3 hours on a Saturday. Making something profitable with only 3 hours a week is very different from having, you know, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week dedicated to it. So,
but it depends on profitable again, doesn't it? Because if you're spending 3 hours creating something and then sell it for $2,000, you're profitable.
That's true.
It's like sort of what I'm doing now, because I'm traveling. I'm still selling stuff, but I'm profitable. I couldn't make a living from it, but I don't want to make a living from it, and I don't need to make a living from it. It's like I create my work. I get the joy and the passion from still being an artist and doing it. And you know, I have avenues to sell it through, but I'm not spending all my time. I'm not looking to create a full-time business from my artwork.
Right, because you've had many years of running really big businesses.
Yeah, and I'm at that position in my life. Yeah, I don't have to make money from my art. I've created business, sell business. So, you know, that's a really good point. It might be a part-time business for Nikki. It may
that's
be,
right.
But you might be trying to make a living. So it just depends on how much time you're going to put into it to actually create this business, to create a successful business, to create your an income from it. It's full time, isn't it? And plus,
but I mean, like, so mine is full time, and I have an assistant that works almost full time, like 30 hours or 35 hours a week. So do you know what I mean? Like, that's so for me to run it all and do all, because like I think, you know, to do all of the stuff I do takes a long time, but also saving yourself mentally, as Maggie was talking about. And if anyone hasn't listened to that episode with Maggie Smith, highly recommend
Maggie MacDonald.
Maggie MacDonald,
the actress.
Where did I get Smith from? Sorry, Maggie, if you're
She's the actress Maggie Smith, isn't she?
The famous actress we were speaking to. No, she was not acting. She was 100% legit. But Maggie's episode is really, really good for that kind of stuff too. So, but yeah, so different times for different people. It is very much how long's a piece of string. And it depends on how much time you're going to put into it. So, for instance, you know, if you're only going to be doing 3 hours a week, you might. So for me, I raised $35,000 of profit from those few hours a week, but it took 8 months to build up to that point. And for some people, it's going to take more or less. Actually, the thing is that how much, it's not just how much time you can dedicate to it, but like how quickly you are at mastering things like email marketing, social media marketing, and all of that kind of stuff. You know, content creation. If you already have that in the bag, like it's going to take a lot less time than if you're like trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I edit this video? How do I upload a reel? What actually works for reels? Like, that takes time. So the question is, how long does it take you to learn how to market? So it's more like, you know, how long is it going to take you to do your own little like marketing course, like degree, whatever. So think of it more like that. I think it's probably better.
And maybe work your way back as well to say, okay, well, if I need 100,000 a year from this business, then how many paintings do I need to do? Do I need to sell prints? You know, how much are my paintings? Okay, well, you know, if I'm selling my paintings for $100, it's going to take you, you know, is that going to be possible to do that? So figure
That's
out a
right.
little plan of, okay, well, I need to sell 5 paintings and they need to be so much each. And then if I sell prints as well, so have a little catalogue of how you can make up the money as well.
Right.
And that'll
I
set you
think,
off on how you need to go with your social media.
yeah, and I think that is one of those things that is so much easier once you've done like you've either sold a lot more before or you've done more. Because like for me, I can look at historical data and I'll know like, oh, okay, this is where I'm aiming at.
Right.
So I think when you're starting off, but yeah, you still work it out, but
Mm.
it's a case of you've just got to get in there, and then the answers do start to reveal themselves, which I know that's just not a very helpful thing to say, but it's just so true, because every person is different, every business is slightly different when it comes to like, for instance, there are certain types of artwork that take loads and loads and loads and loads of time. And there's certain types of artwork that don't. So, it depends based on like art style and that kind of stuff too, I guess. If you're talking about like profitability when it comes to like time frames and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So what top things have you got for Dev then, with regards to how much time did it take to make it profitable?
Well, see, I feel like it was pretty profitable straight off, because I didn't.
It's hard, isn't it? It's a
It's
difficult
hard
question.
because you go, I do it because I love it, and then I'm making a painting and it costs $2,000. It hasn't cost me anywhere near that in materials to create that painting. So for me, that painting's like profitable straight away. But like I haven't included maybe the 10 hours it's taken really to do that, because I've been doing it anyway. And for me, that's
or the lifetime of learning to get to this point.
Yeah.
Well, like, right, are we just counting the hours that we're working at on the easel, or are we also counting the years and years of practice, the failed attempts, all the materials for the failed attempts, the many art tutor like lessons, all those hours that are involved? So it's a kind of interesting scenario. But as far as me, I would say my top things are, with regards to how often how quickly is it, obviously it depends on how much time you're going to dedicate to it. For me, 3 hours a week or 4 hours a week took about 8 months. But everybody's a little different, and every campaign is a little different as well. And everyone's selling method's slightly different too. So it's a difficult question.
Sorry, I love a great thing with these questions would be like, give us really more specifics on it, and then
yes, I think there was a character limit, so they could.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yes,
but this next question is really specific.
This one is great. This is amazing. So, hey, love, I was wondering if you could give me advice on selling my artwork. I've had a really hard time with it lately. I always end up having to drop my prices low, which doesn't help me at all. And she said, she stays, she's working from home because she has a son, and it's hard to be away from him because given his age and scenarios. So she says, anyways, I'm trying to figure this out. I post on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I've sold plenty of paintings, but never for what I feel they're worth. Which I feel that. I feel that so much, and think this is something just like so many people have this experience.
But it's so sad, isn't it, when you do sell those paintings and you feel like you're giving them away. It's just you don't even want to sell them, really, do you?
I think I've only ever sold one painting that I've deeply regret, because I feel like it was worth so much more, and it was right at the very beginning, right at the very, very, very beginning. And
still not happy about that.
I'm still pissed off. One painting that I feel like I did that with, and that was like 6 years ago. I wake up at night in cold sweats. But it's true. It feels heartbreaking. It really, really does. So let's break this down. So we took a little moment to look at the social media and the posting to try and diagnose what it is.
It was great that we had your handles and everything, so we could have a little look at, you know, what was going on. Yeah, it was really good.
So what I would start off with is that firstly, in order to sell, you have to show your artwork to people. That sounds so obvious, but in order to do that, you sort of have to understand like how social media works, and but it's all about the devils in the details. So I'm gonna start by quickly breaking down each different social media channel because I think it's really important. And I'll start with Twitter because actually for me right now, Twitter is my biggest platform, not my biggest as in amount of followers, but certainly the platform where I sell the most. I sell so much. So firstly, I think when it comes to having a really effective like Twitter campaign, and also it's like, how do you get people to engage and all of that kind of stuff, and how to sort of like build your thing. So the first thing is that the way that Twitter formats is that when you're uploading photographs, the aspect ratio changes depending on how big, or you know, how many you're uploading. You're on Twitter, by the way, Chris, or is this new for you?
I'm honest, I don't even use it. I think I went on it and then sort of posted
well, this is great.
and then thought, oh, I need to focus, really focus.
Yeah, and of course, here's the thing is that dominating any one platform is hard to do, and it's even harder when you're trying to do like 4 or 5. For myself, I always try to focus actually kind of just on one platform and work on it, and then I move to the next platform and work on it. And I've just got to that point with Twitter now. I said that if I got to 150,000, I would move on. So like I'm at that point now. So YouTube is my next thing. Anyway, so with Twitter, right? So, and actually with all social media, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what you're looking for is screen real estate. How big can you get your artwork on your phone? You want it as big as possible, right?
Yeah.
So if you post things that are letterbox size, so small on a tall phone, you're only taking up a tiny wee little bit of screen. In fact, what happens is there's someone's got a picture above you and they've got, because like these are like rotating things, right? Or like you can scroll. So the problem is always that if you don't take up all that screen real estate, the posts that are above and below you might have something that causes a bit of curiosity, and it might force the person to scroll past you, even if you had something really bloody good. But because you allowed other people to encroach on your screen real estate. So, and it's a weird thing because it's not something you often think about. So with Twitter, you can post one photo at a time, and that's how you get the big, tall thing. If you're posting...
She's got 4 on. How's that happened?
Yes. So you can post multiple, but what happens is when you post multiple, it shrinks them down. Yeah. So that actually now it's only really tiny. And as I said, the problem is that in a feed, and you're in and amongst wonderful, wondrous, or like contentious things that will like really engage people. You know, the problem is if you allow anyone to encroach on the screen while your work is there, then they're going to miss it because they might be distracted by something else. That's just the nature of humans. We're like, oh, there's a shiny object. So the best thing is to make sure those shiny objects don't necessarily appear. The same is true of Facebook, though. And the same is true of Instagram. You know, vertical aspect ratio, because this is the truth, is that most 90%, probably more actually nowadays, of social media usage is on a phone, right? We're out and about. It's not often people go, I'm going to log on.
No, it's always on your phone, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, and it does happen occasionally, rarely, but not that often, let's be honest. It's all on the phone. So, and people don't hold the phones like this. Oh, some psychopath might do somewhere. But, you know, people are holding their phones this way. So, you know, tall aspect ratio images, and it works best on almost every platform. And
so when we went to Ollie's account, because I'm not used to Twitter, I didn't even know that I was in her feed, in her account, in her feed, because I was getting sponsor things coming up. And then she was there, and the content, the pictures are so small because she's doing 4 at a time.
Yeah.
And they're a bit different. They're not sort of coherent with the 4 pictures. But as
With
you're
the different
saying,
styles.
you're saying don't even do 4 pictures. Do 1 picture. Yeah,
Yeah.
do 1.
Now,
But that was a bit of confusion with that.
yeah, of course, because now naturally they're in between everyone's feed. Because like here's what happens, right? You're on social media and someone clicks like on a picture, and then any of their friends might get a notification of, oh, their friend just liked this photograph, right? That's kind of how it works. And if it's an engaging enough post, it's not like an invisible post where you've got 4 tiny little things and they're maybe different art styles, and and the caption isn't maybe super engaging, then either they scroll past. But if they does manage to capture them and they click on it, now they're presented with your feed and they have to ask the question, do I want to follow this person? Is this the sort of content I love? And if what you've got is like kind of posts, like sort of randomized posts, or like posts about things that maybe don't show your art, or maybe you don't have like a really like strong like intro, like pinned posts, that very first one is like prime real estate. It's the most important post. Have your artwork, say what you're about, show people what you're doing. Because actually your bio, and that's just an extension of your bio, so from the point of seeing the bio and seeing your pin post, they must be like, oh, this is the person. And especially what I'll do is I'll scroll down a little bit and they'll carry on looking at the rest of the posts. Now, if the series of posts is like random retweets, random posts, or just like captions that don't really make sense, you're just like saying stuff to say stuff. It's not like as part of your art style. Because like realistically, people follow artists because they love looking at their artwork. And I know that, obviously they want to hear what we've got to say as well, but always post it with a picture, like I always say, it's not often I'll post something without it. It has happened, but it's once in a blue moon. And I'm sure there are other people that find really succinct ways of getting a viral post. But realistically, that's what happens. They go, what am I, if I follow this person, what kind of content are they going to be putting into my personal feed? Like, how are they going to show up in my feed? And if they see it's lots of random stuff, they go, nah, not for me.
And Ollie's wasn't random stuff. It was pictures of her artwork, but they weren't shown in like the amazing light. Some of the pictures, when you click on them, are fantastic.
Some of them are, yeah.
But you just don't like, even get that. And our short attention span goes, oh, nah.
Right.
And
now,
also,
this isn't to say you can't post. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, and also the pinned post. And I'm really grateful to you, Ollie, for asking this question, because you're not the only one who will do these kind of things. And then we all learn, your pinned post is some badge that you'd received, which means nothing to anybody else. When you look at it, it was just really confusing. And as Kat's saying, this is your prime real estate there. So it's like the beautiful,
show your best piece of artwork. Yeah, always your absolute bestest piece of artwork you've ever done, the one that you're most proud of, should be bam, that's it. Because that's that, when someone's new and they're coming to you, that's their first impression of what's going on, what you're all about. What an amazing way to present them with just your absolute best thing. And the truth is, you've got amazing artwork. There is no reason why you shouldn't be selling that every single time. So that's the first aspect. So Twitter, you can post like 2 images. I mean, sometimes that does work also. It's not a bad thing. But if you're going to show 4 images, put them into like a collage where you've got like 1 image, but it's actually 4, whatever, because that gives you the real estate and you can still show multiple things. The other thing I would say,
look at through your artist eye as well to see if they go together.
That's 100% it. Realistically, and as much as we love to have multiple art styles, it is most important to segregate those art styles. So if you have one particular art style for something, put that in an account that is about and dedicated to that art style. And if you have, so if you have 2 art styles, have 2 accounts. I understand it's hard to maintain. I get it, but I promise you, I go to people's like pages all the time. Photographers are the worst for this. you know, and I'd be like, oh wow, amazing space photos, but oh god, I've got to go through all these like wedding portraits in order to get the thing that I don't want a wedding portrait photo in my feed.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm married, I'm very happily married. I love my husband, but I'm not bothered by that. I don't like,
You want to see other people's weddings.
yeah, right. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to see things that I'm not interested in. Now, bear in mind, some of these photos are beautiful. You know, there'll be like photos of horses galloping through fields and all of this kind of stuff. And there are people that love horses galloping through states like fields. But I don't really care that much, really. I love horses, but you know, I've only got a few minutes here or there to look through social media. I don't want to be scrolling through, you know, stuff that it just has no interest to me. So, you know, when you think about it, when you go to someone's feed and you're like, right, oh, I love this person, you know, imagine like just having a jumble sale. Like, you don't know what you're getting. Do you want to invite that onto your personal feed? You're like, no. So if you have multiple styles, always separate them out. I understand it's hard, and I don't want to necessarily pigeonhole any artist into only one style. I think it's very healthy to have more than one if that's what you want, just for social media's sake. Unless, the caveat is, unless it's all related, you know, so you could be, you know, if in my case, you could be into astro stuff, and you might make sculptures related to astro stuff, and you might make paintings related, and you might make digital artwork related to astro stuff. But the people that go to your page like astro stuff. You know, for you, Chris, you know, it's like people go to see this particular textural painting style. It's just beautiful, right?
And
but you know, and vibrant colors, you know, so. But you could paint in that style a landscape, or you could paint in that style a total abstract. The point is that, you know, people come into you for one particular thing, right?
I know it's read through it. It's like they still know it's my work. And also, you know, if you are serious about making a profit, as we talked about earlier, and being an artist, it's really good that, you know, you need to define your style so people come to you because you do this and that's what they want. And otherwise it's really hard otherwise.
100%. And it applies with every industry. Like, could you imagine going to the dentist and being like, right, this is the dentist to go to, but they also happen to be a grocer and a butcher, and they also happen to on the side do a few bit of car repairs, and they also on the side happen to be, you know, a publican and run a pub, and they also happen to be a, you know, like, you're like, what are you, mate? You know, it's like, you don't, when you go to someone, you want to be known for that one thing. In particular, like, you know, because like, you know, would you want a heart surgeon that's also you know, I'm trying to think of like a random thing, but a heart surgeon that also spends 50% of their time as a top chef, like as a chef, you know, or, you know, and they also spend right. You want someone, if someone's going to be operating on your heart and you're going to die on that table if they don't get it right, you want the person that is so dedicated to that. Right. You want the person that lives and breathes and knows everything about it. You don't want people that have like split attention, that have got a bit of attention there, a bit of here, and a bit there. You want it all together. And it's true for everything, right? You often love musicians because they do one particular style, you know, so you wouldn't like, the truth is that, you know, you like someone because they play country music and you're into country music, or you like someone because they make heavy metal. But if that person that did, now, of course, there are people that combine different genres, but it's all a common thread, right? But if you had someone that one day they are playing like, you know, banjo music.
I think you made enough of a point of that. I think we've got to catch.
All right, I'm very passionate
about this. This is
if people don't go after this, I will scream because it's everything. All right, sorry, I'll calm down.
So with Ollie here, her Twitter one is change your pin, make it beautiful artwork there. Do one picture or max 2 pictures to show off your artwork. And I did see one where it's like tilted and it's, you know, you can crop, you've got to make them, you've got to spend that time to make them really
absolutely.
lovely. This is your shop front. This is
such a good point. Taking time to take really good photos of your artwork. So it's okay. Never post.
But it's okay with the phone. It's fine. You can take good pictures.
Right. It doesn't have to be fancy equipment, but you have to do it when it's well lit. Yeah. Now, if you don't have expensive lighting, everybody's got access to the sun, I would hope. Right? Go outside, you know, go outside, put your artwork outside, photograph it. You know, preferably if it's a big artwork, you don't want it to be like in and amongst a bunch of clutter all around it. You know, try and find an isolated wall. Even better, like you look at what this lovely studio we're sitting in, but you know, find somewhere nice and aesthetic. Put a pot plant next to it. Put it, you know, do something that makes those photos pop. But then also be aware that the way that your phone processes images can be quite different. So in particular, if you're sitting in or you're taking a photograph under yellow light, the colors are not going to look vibrant, especially if it's blue. I mean, if it's red and yellow, sure, they'll probably look just fine. But if you're, you know, if you're taking a photograph of something that's blue or purple, it's going to look washed out. It's going to lose all its vibrancy. You know, as you said, Chris, cropping in, so important. You're adjusting the brightness and contrast. Now, the truth is that you don't really know what it looks like on someone else's phone because everybody has their screen brightness at way different settings. So, you know, you can make it, you know, and also I think one of the things I like to do is when I'm in the process of setting up artwork for sale, I'll always try and show like multiple shots of it at this point of sale. But when it comes to social media, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it being super, super accurate to real life, because quite frankly, you don't know what people's screens are even like. Most likely they're not at full brightness. They're a little bit dimmer and, you know, you just don't know. So make it, you know, you set it up so that it looks good. But in my mind, everyone's got a very, very expensive, wonderful light, and that's called the sun. So it's great to use natural lighting for photography.
What did you think as well of the username? I found that like why it was like nothing to do with, well, I don't know, the username. I didn't feel like I identified her.
Well, I think it's relatively space themed.
Is it? Oh, well, maybe I'm just missing the space context of it as like not a spacey person.
You're not a spacey person, so you wouldn't know.
No,
but I did think that myself. I have in the past. Now, it's always a challenge to change usernames, and most places won't allow you to change the capitalization. I know that if you've got like multiple parts, like multiple words, that Facebook does allow you to have like capital, lowercase, you know.
Yeah, but it's not her name, is it?
No.
Look up you and it's Kath Machin. Look up me, it's Chris Mercer. You know who you're getting.
Well, you've got two different things. You've got your username, and then you've obviously got the person's actual name both shown. So, you know, I don't know if that's so much of an issue.
Because the Instagram name is the same, the Instagram name. So it's like,
is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's have a look. But yeah, so I think I actually added the word space art to my name, and I can't change it now because I got verified, so I'm stuck with it. But actually it's been quite helpful, because if people look up space art, it does appear. It's helpful. But yeah, I don't know about that so much as far as usernames. I do think it is helpful to have something that's easy to remember and simple. Simpler the better. Although I cannot talk because my name is Catherine Machin, but my mum spelt my name in a very unique manner, and frustratingly, no one can spell it. So,
right, yeah, it is. Yeah.
So on the one side, it was very good because she accidentally pre-guessed that it would be hard to get your own unique username. On the second hand, no one can spell it. So I also have that. Frankly, though, I think that people remember your art style more than anything. And the way that people find you isn't so much typing in a username, but is finding you through a really hyper engaging post on social media. And the first thing is to make it look good. Yeah.
Do we move to Instagram?
Yep. So the thing I found with Instagram is, again, when the way that people decide who they're going to follow is they see a post, they engage with it. Hopefully, it's enough that Instagram has shared it with people. So it's good. So Instagram will have shared a post, and someone else has seen it. And what they do again is they click and they look at your profile. So firstly, is you're allowed to pin posts. So you're allowed to pin 3. Always pin 3. Put your best artwork up there. There's no reason to not have the absolute creme de la creme of whatever you've ever done up there, so that when people come to your profile, they go, wow, amazing. And it's exactly the same feedback as Twitter. Keep it consistent, keep it to one art style, so that when people go, they know what they're signing up for. They know, oh, I'm going to get this particular type of art style. This person talks about this particular subject that I'm really passionate about.
But flicking through the Instagram on Ollie's feed, there's a lot of stuff which just, when you're just flicking, it's repetitive. Like there's
lots of similar photos
of the same. Well, there's one is like 4 in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures of the same image. I don't know if they look the same. Oh, there's 2 reels. Oh, there's a couple of pictures there, but on the initial grid, it just looks like exactly the same thing. And that's like a pattern all the way through, that you think, oh, there's not much on here. It's just like it's the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's important when you're doing reels. If you are posting it as its own standalone artwork as well, which of course you should definitely do, but you can choose a different thumbnail for your reel as to your actual art. It can be the artwork, but maybe it's you standing next to your artwork, or it's just a grab from the actual video, rather than the pretty much the same image multiple times. Or it could be you standing next to your artwork, or it could be your artwork in situ in a beautiful home, or laid out in a different way. But yeah, like for me, it's like you got to make that when you go into seeing your profile, you want it to be such a wow experience. So firstly, I'm very much of it. It's funny because when I studied art, when I was 10 or something at school, I remember them saying, oh, well, they don't mark you down for the bad work. So just include everything. They only really take it from the best bits. But reality and humans are so opposite to that. They mark you based on the worst stuff and the worst photographs. So, you've got photos there, one in beautiful lighting and then one in dim lighting. So you would take one of them away. So there's I often go back and curate my feed. I go back and I archive loads of stuff. You don't have to delete it, just archive it. And then you can bring it back at any point if you so wish. But just do that, start by clearing it out, so that when people come to that feed, it's like a wow experience. And of course, even more so, it makes it easy if you can pin those top 3 for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because it's great. Like, you posted fashion stuff as well, and something about Halloween, and that's great. I think post it because I do the same with stuff when I'm away and traveling. But then just archive it. So when because it's it's good to have,
because it's had its moment.
It's had its moment.
And also when it comes to reels, you don't even have to archive them on the main feed. You can just hide it from the main feed and it will still appear in your section of reels. And that's a really good way to just keep it really tidy, But instantly from doing that, you will gain a lot of followers, because I promise there are people going to accounts all the time. It's just, do they want to stick around?
Just looking at this, oh gosh, she's got a seascape one in there as well, and it's such a mixture of things, macrame things, such a mixture. So And also, I don't know, different angles she's putting the paintings at. You know, I think we feel like sometimes we need to do more, when sometimes it's just we need to do less. You know, you don't need to put it on a funny angle and all that. People just want to see the picture and see it clearly. You were seeing a child
yeah, it depends.
painting on a funny angle. It's like
Often if I do take one with the interesting angles, which I do sometimes, I think, is I just won't post them consecutively. So I might post that one again in like 3 weeks or something. And that way the feed looks like it's kind of fresh and there's stuff going on all the time. A lot of the stuff I post personally is stuff that's like old, that because people are like, how do you make so much artwork? I don't really. I just have lots of artwork from it. I've done it for 6 years now. So
look, I'm
but
not
yeah,
interested in angles as when if you do it and you go, that looks good.
right.
But some of these you're thinking, look a bit odd shaped, you know, because you can see the bottom's narrow and the tops go wide. Things
I
like
see,
that.
yes.
And so it's
Right.
just care with the photographs of they do matter. I think it took me quite a while because I just go, oh, that'll do, put that up, put that up. And it took me a while to sort of go, it really does make a difference. It does matter that you need that to look.
Oh, yeah. I think that it is so worthwhile doing a little bit of research. There are so many great YouTube videos on product photography and even artwork photography. But most of the artwork photography is more about like scanning it for digitization purposes. But definitely look up how to do product photography. It is probably one of the going to be the biggest game changers. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. What else? And again, when it's coming to doing reels, you know, we've done a whole episode actually on how to effectively make TikToks and reels. And there's a lot to it. So I definitely recommend watching or listening to that episode to break it down. But, you know, reels really have to be approached like they're a newspaper story. They've got to have some sort of like title. It doesn't have to be a literal written title, but it has to be a premise of the video. And people need to know that pretty quickly on so that they understand if this is something they're into or something they're not into. That could be done visually. Sometimes that's visually, but sometimes you have to be like, you know, this is what I ordered, this is what I got, right? You know, or maybe not that cheesy, but do you know what I mean? Like there's a premise and you go, oh, what do you order? What do you got? You know, and you've got the next section, you've got your headline, you've got your intro little blurb, which is about creating curiosity. You know, this is what I ordered, this is what I got. I knew I believed this, something, whatever. Create some level of curiosity. And then you have obviously the outcome or the reveal. You know, the key is just to keep it short and sweet, really, as much as you can. But yeah, definitely go look at that episode. There's so many good tips in that, and they're all still super relevant to this. That's for sure.
And see, the artwork's never the issue, is it? Because, you know, you see people, we all see people selling loads of artwork that we could look at and go, you know, there's nothing special about it, you know, but they're doing really well because they're doing all this other stuff really well. So, you know what? The artwork's fantastic. The artwork's great.
That's it. You know what? I think most people have the hardest challenge because the artwork isn't very good. No, and I mean, that's so subjective. But, you know, all these cases, their artwork's incredible and it's really good. And there is absolutely zero reason why it shouldn't sell. In fact, I was tempted to buy something from the store. And also, I will note that Etsy is just not my favorite place to sell. I hate Etsy. Hate is a big word. Very severely I don't really hate anything, to be honest. Very severely dislike Etsy. Etsy is an awful place. I would tell all artists to not sell on Etsy. And it's not for any of their policies or anything. It's how the website is set up. So someone comes to your page, you've taken them there. And what is the first thing that Etsy does as soon as they scroll down low enough is show them where they can get similar things for cheaper. You know, what an awful experience for you as an artist to now be on the race to the bottom. You want to be around peers who are selling at higher prices, that aren't trying to, because like the truth is, $50, $100, I wouldn't even sell a print for that amount, to be absolutely truthful. But you know, it's like you're trying, that's the point where you're trying to compete with Target. We're not competing with Target here. We are, you know, artwork, handmade, handcrafted artwork is a luxury good. So you don't want to be, because like there are people on Etsy that are just selling prints cheap out of China, you know, or not specifically that it's about China, but it's just like rip off reproductions, quick and easy, cheap and easy stuff. And nestled in between all of this bump is this beautifully handcrafted artwork. So it's really hard to command the value that it is absolutely worth. For me, I would 100%. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand Etsy has a market and someone might be looking at someone else's artwork and then be referred to you. My experience and also coaching so many people with Etsy is get off Etsy. It's rubbish. You know, when you send someone to your site to make the sale, you know, if it's your own website, there is none of that distraction. The only distraction is which of these beautiful artworks am I going to buy? Not, oh, this other person's made this, and oh, this is another, you know, there's none of that, you know, there's none of that. Etsy is just a race to the bottom. And you'll get, especially, you know, and it makes me so sad. There are so many artists that do not value themselves. And they think that because they can only sell something for like knockdown prices, that that's actually what they're worth. It's just such rubbish. It's actually the manner in which, you know, the marketing promotion, it's the way that they maybe sometimes take promotional images, and it's the location of the, you know, the products for sale. Like, I just think get off Etsy, get your own website, in my experience.
And I did go to Ollie's Etsy store, and she did quite well with her little ones and that. But there's only about 5 products on it as well, so that looked, from what I've seen anyway. So that looked a little bit unloved. But you're not recommended doing that anyway.
So what is your recommendation? So obviously I'd say get off Etsy, make a Shopify if you must. I'm sure there's other free ones, because I know that that's a paid one.
Shopify is quite, you know, it's, I think 29, you can go in at $29 a month to have your own Shopify store, but you can set up a Facebook store.
You can set up a Facebook store. Facebook store is actually great. Even though it's got some of this, but like one of the things I do love doing is obviously selling through specific campaigns. And if you are going to do that, you can activate and deactivate your Shopify site. So you can, once you've finished your month, you can, you know, you get all like 2 months.
You get a free month, do you?
You gotta get a free month. I'm sure there are vouchers and codes for it too, you know. I love a good voucher. You gotta ball on a budget here. But you're going to make so much more money as well. Also, that Shopify takes a percentage, but nowhere near quite what Etsy does, I believe. So that's something to note, because it's payment processors. They always take 5 to 6%. That's just Visa or MasterCard.
Yeah, it's not much. It's really
I think mine's like 1.02% plus 20 cents or something. It's almost nothing. Good.
But Ollie, the sales, we did a sales one, sales podcast with Martin Eade.
Martin Eade, what a great
everyone
podcast
needs to listen to that. It was fabulous, because you know, you're selling things for and I'm saying to you about the profit one that I'm not including my hours, and but I'm selling for a few $1,000s. You're selling for $50, so my time is actually paid in that. It is well there. But when you're doing something for $50, I
think also is this like, and we, again, I could keep on referring to different episodes, but because it's such a big question, really, is like, how do I sell art? Making prints is an avenue to having a lower tier cost product and then still commanding the true value of your artwork. And it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg to actually set up or do. In particular, if you've got a Shopify store, I highly recommend using the print space, which are based in the UK. We have a whole episode on how do I make prints and all of that kind of stuff. But that means that you've got a product that you could potentially sell for $50. You don't have to sell your originals for $50.
And
so you could start.
Yeah. Sorry, Kat. And this is what we talked about in this sales one as well, that made the difference, because if you've got to start selling prints, your originals are print prices at the moment. And this is probably maybe a lot of people. Yeah. So you can't sell prints. You can't sell prints because people can just buy an original for what you're selling. So it's like you have to get your act together with your original prices.
Yes.
So a good exercise is go and find out how much it would cost to do prints of your work. And then if you're selling for that price, then you know that you're so undervaluing yourself. And it's just not feasible for you to carry on doing that.
100%. Yeah, that is very, very true. That whole, so much homework. But that whole episode with Martin Eade, and don't just listen to the specific actionable answers. Listen to the way that he talks and the specific language that he's using. Note words down that he's saying and actually start using that. The way that he talks about sales, he gives a few demos, and it's so interesting because it's not just like what he's referring to. Look at literally how he's breaking down, how he's actually even having those conversations, like the words he's using, write it down. So that one for sure, but then also go to the print, making a print, like how to run a print store. We've got a couple episodes on it. It's going to change the game for you because all of a sudden you now have a product for the people that, because there are people that come to me and they can't afford an original. In fact, most people, like 99.9% of people that are with me cannot afford my originals. I cannot afford my own originals, funnily enough. They're too expensive for me even to purchase if I was to purchase one, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Anyway, but I could afford a print of my own. And lots of people could afford a print, and even if I don't have prints, there's digitals, sometimes people can only afford $7. That's a-okay. Wonderful. I'm more than happy to people to have like digital versions of the artwork. But in order to do digitals and prints, you have to scan your artwork. So make sure you're doing that. But again, all in the prints episode. But that's such a good point, Chris.
Because we've talked about the photographs, the importance of all that. Martin goes into the importance of your story. Yeah. So they go hand in hand. So there was so much in that. So I can't recommend that enough.
Yes, 100%. And I think then also is like building up a database of clients is really important. I don't know what kind of access you have in Etsy, whether you get people's emails and names. You can, repeat clients. I like nearly like third I've checked from all my clients. And this is just for my everyday store, are repeat clients. And I think we spoke to Maggie, and how much she said?
50%.
50%.
She said.
There are people that have already purchased from you, and I am big on referrals, especially for original artwork. Start to build relationships with people that love your artwork, and I mean, send them an email if you have access to that. I'm not sure on Etsy because I have not sold there myself. But send them an email, start discourse, build a rapport, ask them, hey, I have some more artwork, or I'm doing a new series of artworks. Do you know anyone that would be interested in one? Or do you have a recommendation of a person I could share this with? Or could you share? Because most of the time, people who love your artworks, they want to share your stuff. They think it's wonderful. They've spent money on it because they love it. I have a friend who has 80% of her business is referrals.
Wow.
80. Isn't that?
Yeah.
For originals, because look, and as I said, these are luxury goods, of course. And especially when you start to raise your prices, and my Lord, please raise your prices.
Yeah.
But also put in print so that there's a lower tier as well, availability or whatnot. But once you raise your prices and you have people buying them, and they will buy them at those prices, even if it takes a little bit, that's fine. Then you stock in stock, because, like, admittedly, there is a different level of connection to someone that's maybe spent $20,000 on a painting versus $20 on a painting. So, you know, I would say that, like, you know what, I'm all for it. Just go and reach out to the people that have already bought from you and ask, you know, hey, I've got these beautiful pieces, you know, do you know anyone that'd be interested in them? You know, build a rapport and a connection there. And I think there can be a lot done. In fact, we should probably do a whole episode in the future on selling through referrals, because I mean, it's so powerful. Because personal recommendation, like, if I don't know why I keep on talking about dentists, but like, if you're finding a dentist, you can obviously Google it online, but most often what we do is we ask our friends, hey, who's good in this area? Or, you know, you want to go to a restaurant, where's good? I mean, yeah, you can look at reviews are great, but we trust our friends, people do. And like, a personal referral is the most powerful tool you've got, really.
I just want to touch on part of Ollie's question was, like, she's had to knock down the price for somebody. So it sounded like somebody's obviously interested in your artwork, and they've gone, oh, can you do it for this, or you can do it for that? We seem to be a bit conditioned to just asking to see what we can get, and sometimes that's all that people are trying, is to just try it on. They do it. I've done it myself. And if you get a deal, you go, oh, deal.
Oh yeah, I always say,
there, you know.
100%.
So it's just be aware of that. And like, I've had people ask me, you know, would I accept less for whatever? I'm thinking of a particular painting and all that, because it was, because it was in the gallery, and then I ended up having a conversation with them, and it was for me, it was like, I just said to her, look, I put the best prices I can on my paintings, you know, and I think that I'm really giving really good value for what, I didn't say really good value. It was like, you know, for what I do, I really put the best prices that I can on for my customers. So actually, no, I don't knock down my prices, because I feel like they're really at value at the moment. Something like that I said to her, and she was like, oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Didn't go any further than
you always ask. I always ask every time I'm buying anything on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, what's the best price you can do? Always, like, why not? Like, you can always ask.
Thing to say, isn't it? What's the best price?
Yeah,
it's not the best price. I put my heart and soul into this, and
do it. Oh God, if someone told me that, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry for asking. Yeah, you know, if someone is asking you to reduce your artwork, honestly, I would say, with kindness and respect, I would never say it back in like, oh, how could you dare ask? I'd just be like, oh, I really appreciate you asking, because obviously you do love the artwork, but this is my best price. I cannot allow it anymore, you know. And I wouldn't ever say, oh, this is how much time, like, this is how many materials or whatever, you know. You wouldn't have to be like, oh, this is my itemized bill for it. Don't ever necessarily do.
We're not justifying why we're charging it. We're saying this is our value. This is, oh no, you know, this is, this is the best price I can give for this artwork, because it's, you know, and you can go into the story of it, you know, or, you know.
Yeah, and your story, yeah. You said something in another episode, and I cannot remember what episode it is, but maybe it was one about self-worth. And you mentioned, like, treat yourself like Louis Vuitton. Treat yourself like Versace.
That was it. Yeah, it was like, just say the words, all these, any top brands that you know. So, you know, Versace, Gucci, who top brands. I'm not a brand person, but you know, so much.
But you know what I mean, the top, whatever, the top of the top, you know.
And then put your name after it, and then go Chris Mercer. How do you feel with that? Does that create like something in you where you go, oh gosh? Because if you don't believe you're worth it, nobody else will.
Right.
If you don't believe you're worth $300 instead of $150, nobody else will.
No, because the first person you have to convince is yourself.
That's right.
I think that's very, very poignant. But also, I like to think about, like, when I think about, luxury brands. Now, you may or may not be into luxury brands. It's beside the point. It's about what the cumulative human population believes. But think about having those conversations. Like, would you go, like, and there's like a TikTok trending audio that was like, you wouldn't ask this. Oh God, I can't remember, but you wouldn't ask this of Louis Vuitton. You would, and it's so true. And I think it's like the song was like, oh, it costs this much because it took me effing hours. And then it sings about, like, we have to pay our rent, and you wouldn't ask this of Louis Vuitton. And it's true. Like, could you imagine if you were like a luxury brand, let's say you were Mercedes-Benz, someone was like, is that really a brand new Mercedes? I don't think I'll pay that. But unfortunately, that's the price.
I used to work somewhere. I used to work somewhere, and then when people would ask for a discount, he'd say, you wouldn't go into DJs and ask for a discount, would you? And I thought, that's so true. You wouldn't go into David Jones and say, oh, that jumper's $150, can I have it for $120?
No,
because DJs is a high class store in Australia, and it's like, you don't, that's quite a rude thing to say to somebody, but he was like that. But even having that mentality of, they're asking me that, they wouldn't go to like a Wentworth gallery and go, well, can I have it for so much? So it's like, would you
like, well, I admire people for the spunk and courage to
I do as well.
Negotiate it.
I
love it.
And I don't mind being knocked back if they say, oh, no, that's the price. It's like, I give it a go. It's just a bit of cheek, really, more than...
Right. And you can always acknowledge that and say, I love your courage for asking, but this is absolutely the best part. Because also the reality is that even at $300, it's so undervalued. Like, we do have an episode dedicated to how do I price my artwork at the very beginning. And given that inflation's happened since I really started using this method, but like $1.50 per square inch, it's like the minimum. And just to start, if you've been doing this for more than 4 months or something, you should be moving upwards. And also, that's the other thing we've got to remember is inflation is a real thing. You should be increasing your prices, if not just to match up with reality. Like, even if you just increase them a little bit each year,
I get
it's
that.
actually only the same.
I get that, but if people aren't selling, it's like you're not selling because your price. You can increase your price. You can change your prices from 150 for those things for 300 without a problem, and you'll have the same sales. You're still getting nothing really.
I agree,
because you haven't got all the rest of the stuff in play.
You know what? Oh yeah, carry on.
I'm just saying you haven't got all the rest of the stuff in play. So nobody's looking at it. When they're getting to look at it, it's confusing, it's repetitive, it's not catching their eye. So it's not the dollar figure, it's the rest of the...
There's maybe other things. Another interesting thing is, I did hear this, and I haven't ever managed to try this because I've admittedly, and this is a humble brag, but I've never not sold an art piece. Which is amazing, and I hope everyone has that scenario. But
you've never not sold an art piece.
I have never not sold an art piece.
That's quite a feat.
Actually,
I have got stock.
That's a lot. There is just one art piece that I didn't sell, and that's because I wanted it for myself, so I priced it out of everyone's range. But I heard someone online say that that when they had a piece that didn't sell, they would just consistently keep on putting the price up rather than down, and they ended up selling it for some astronomical. Like, here's the thing: who's it going to kill if you try that?
What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose,
You've not
really?
got anything to lose.
Yeah,
Try it.
yeah.
Try it. Even if just for, you know, just for curiosity's sake, no one's going to
It's like
no one's going to
giggles.
die if you try that. Try it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But also, here's a reason why you should never discount is because art should be, hopefully, an appreciating asset. It's an heirloom that you're creating, things to be passed down through generations. It's not something that's disposable. You don't want anyone to ever buy an art piece and then think, not into it, I'll throw it away. It didn't cost me that much. Gosh, it would be awful. Could you imagine all that love that you've put into something and someone wanting to throw it away, or just, just give it away or something because I don't really care about it. Yeah. So, gosh, I've lost the thread of my conversation.
Yeah. If you were going to do that, like I think she's got little ones of $50. Do it for a little promo or something to get yourself maybe your name out there. It's just like little launches like you do, Cass. Just But
I'm more of a thing of get it scanned, get some prints, and then do a launch. But price your artwork appropriately, and if it doesn't sell, put it up. Oh yeah. Again, like we're not in a race to the bottom. We're not trying to compete with Target, or Kmart or whatever it is, the local store. If you're in the UK, it'll be Wilko's. We're not in the race to the bottom. We're in a race to the top. So, and I think that's really important to know. But, oh yeah, that's what we're going to talk about, appreciating assets, right?
Yeah.
So the truth is that, right, if you're producing artwork, and someone buys it at full price, and then next week you sell something, but it's like the price is slashed, that person's not going to feel great about their purchase, because now the piece that they've owned, is now worth about 50% of the value it was initially. People want to buy something and feel like, oh, I'm sitting on a little gold nest egg. You can, of course, increase your prices. And now the piece that they've got so for instance, they bought something for $300, and then in a few months' time, you change your prices, so you're selling something for $500, which FYI is still very undervalued, in my opinion. But now that person's like, oh, I'm in early, like the truth is that the people that bought from me right at the very beginning, firstly, they get some of my founding pieces. So like, like how much would we love to have one of the early Van Goghs right before he developed his style? It'd be amazing, right? If you think about it like that. But then secondly, it's like they're like sitting on something that they know increases in value. Of course, your skills increase in time as well. So, it's not like it's a lost cause, but, they are growing an investment. Like art is an investment. It's an asset, and it's something that should be loved and cherished. And they want to pass it on to generations. I mean, the morbid reality is that, of course, artwork becomes very valuable after an artist dies, because, of course, it's like economic. You can't create more artwork, so there's a fixed supply always. In fact, a dwindling supply, because artwork does get damaged over time, and there'll be some taken out of the market. So think of it like that. You want to create something that appreciates, and there's no reason why you can't create that.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're going into $50 things, you come in mass produced, because you need to sell a lot of them, meet a lot of people, and all that. So that's
100%. Awesome. Well, what are your top points for Ollie?
Top points for Ollie. I'd say sort out your Instagram feed. I suppose that, as I use that a lot, the Instagram, and when I look at Ollie's, it's there's no reason to stay there.
100%. Yeah, that's for sure.
And, I hope Ollie's not taking any of this personally, because the
artwork's amazing.
It's amazing. It's just learning the other skills. That's all. And all this is learning new skills to do things better. So I suppose number 2, keep learning new skills. Go on YouTube, go and see how they're photographing them. Get your photographs amazing.
Yes, product photography.
There's no close-ups of anything that you've done. So get quite imaginative about how you can present them. Look at your feed. She can go to your feed. You've got a perfect example. just copy people's stuff.
Yeah, copy.
Copy the
There's
way
no
they
there's
do
no
it.
harm in copying. Yeah.
Don't have to reinvent the wheel with anything that we're doing here. Um, I'm not sure about my third one would be I'm the name. You know, it doesn't
Okay.
identify her as an artist. We don't know who she is. Feel like hiding behind that, but that just might be my thing and not knowing the spacey talk.
I don't honestly, actually, I'll be totally honest. It was only today that I realized what the username meant.
Oh,
Because
okay.
the problem is with lack of capitalization, multiple words, you don't like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was trying to read it and I was trying to read it as if it was all one word. And I was like, that can be quite challenging. So, but
Do you not
that's
think an
something to,
artist should identify herself? Is that another
as
way?
an artist,
Yeah, as an artist. You know, another sort of
you can. Yeah, look, I put space art in my name. You don't necessarily have to put space art, but you could. Nothing
no, I
wrong with it. I
mean
said,
just
copy it away if you want.
maybe it's another thing of just owning your art, because like that's a big thing, putting your name up there as well.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really funny thing is that me as an artist, I'm Catherine Machin or Cat Machin to friends, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like people talk about owning a Cat Machin painting. And all my socials and everything is around that because I am the main prize here, you know, in the same way that Chris Mercer, you're the main prize in your thing. I'm a big, like, whilst I love these like interesting, fun usernames, realistically, it's like if you go to any celebrity page, given maybe just a few that go with a pseudonym, most of the middle tier, I would say almost all of them have their name. It's just their name. I might be wrong, but like I can imagine one or two, but they're yeah.
Anyway,
Realistically, yeah, sorry. Anyway, my point is that I personally think that artists should use their name, you know, and I think that's really important because realistically, people buy artwork from me because they're buying from me. People like sometimes people just support my artwork just because they want to buy something from me because of me, not even because of space or because of anything that I'm painting, just because they want to, you know, they feel like they connect, like we have a good laugh or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in just going with your name if you can, if it's available, because obviously I know that not all usernames are available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all this is food for thought. No one has to do anything. It's just our take on
Right. So my top tips for Ollie would be, look, if you want to sell artwork, you have to be consistent in a particular style. I'm not going to rant about that. I've got a big enough rant on here already. But just stick to one style. If you want to do more than one style, split it off into a different account.
Or do the style and don't post that one. Just post if you want to be known for space, but you can still do all the others, but it's just the social thing, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, you can always put stuff in your like stories that's like a disposable section. So for instance, stories only last for 24 hours. So no harm, no foul if you stick stuff in there that's not space related, really. I mean, some people who are like, you know, I've got a few kings and queens of stories would dispute that. But for me, I don't really sell from stories. So like, I think it's fine to stick there. Yeah, number two, I don't even know if I'm on number 2 or 3, is to curate your feed so that when people go on there, they get that wow experience. Put the pinned posts up of your best artwork. Edit out all at once, you know, and don't feel shy like you can't post stuff. Post it, but then archive it later so that when people go to your stories or if they are like wowed, you'll find that you'll build up audience very quickly. You've already done, Chris, take really good photographs. Honestly, if you can't, you know, you don't have a fancy light or something, just go and use the natural light outside if you can. And also, you know, take as good photographs as you can so that you can use them for prints. And I think that will be my last one is make prints. Maybe I may have more than one. Make prints. I promise you, it'll allow you to increase the price of your artwork and still make sales. There's no reason why originals have to be that cheap. You can sell a print for that price. And I think lastly is just get off Etsy. I do not like it as the website. And there are other alternatives. Fine Art America, there's Blue Thumb, there's not Saatchi and Saatchi, what's it called?
Yeah, Saatchi and Saatchi.
Is it called Saatchi and Saatchi?
Yeah, Saatchi or Saatchi Art.
It's
But
actually art, that's
they
it.
actually do the same as well, though, Kat. When you're looking at a painting,
Do
they
they?
would go similar products. So it's,
True.
but
However,
they
on
are
the
quality art, and they'd probably be higher prices, and
way higher price.
yeah.
So you do get some of the same issues, of course.
But I think it'll be a higher market.
But you're not
value
sitting
than that.
amongst people that are selling their pieces for $10.
Yeah.
You're sitting amongst people that are selling for
Yeah,
$2, $3, $4, $5,000.
Yeah.
It's better to be sitting around those people than it is to be sitting around people that are selling for, you know, you can't even buy a canvas for that much. It's, you know, it's ridiculous, really, if you think about it. So situate yourself in a good area. I personally like a Shopify. It might not be for you straight away, but that's fine. Or you know, Chris said Facebook has it. You can set up your own store. You can actually set up a store in Instagram, although I haven't yet tried that.
But Shopify is great and very easy. So
yeah. And again, there's so many episodes we've mentioned to watch, but definitely how to set up your print store. Definitely the sales one with Martin Eade. Yeah. The one with Maggie. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's so many good nuggets in there.
Yeah.
But also best of luck. And there is, on the plus side, it should be easy for you because your artwork looks beautiful. So there you go.
And thank you everyone for your questions. Thank you so much. That's just magic.
It's been incredible, and I love it. I mean, we're going to probably do this with asking questions more frequently. So any final comments, Chris, before we go?
No, I think we've covered all sorts.
We're covered everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So guys, what is your artist challenge or opportunity when it comes to selling art? Ask us in the comments below. As always, follow us across all the different social media platforms to make sure you catch future episodes. The next episode, we are going to be answering the question, how do you connect with an audience without being on camera? What an amazing one.
And that question came from somebody. It wasn't like us.
Yes,
actually asked that question to us. So it's well, we'll address that. But yeah,
it's an amazing question. So yes, anyway, we will catch up with you guys next time. See ya.
See you next time. Bye.